I absolutely loved the ending of this film. The direction, camera work, editing, score, and especially the performances create one of the quintessential noir climaxes. It may not be one of the most original films in the genre, but it's perfectly done and totally satisfying. John Farrow was one of the essential directors of noir during this era, even though he's often overlooked in favor of directors granted the auteur title by cinema scholars. I sometimes think that what separates an excellent director from an auteur is that when an auteur makes a lousy movie, it can still be interesting, at least to cinephiles. When a director like John Farrow makes a clunker, and he had his share, it just clunks. Fortunately, Farrow was at his best making dark dramas spiced with unpredictable humor, as he did with films like The Big Clock, Night Has a Thousand Eyes, and Alias Nick Beale. Farrow also valued a good script, which is why he worked so often with Jonathan Latimer, who wrote those three noirs as well as 6 other pictures with Farrow. Now, it's interesting to note that Mitchum's girlfriend, played by the director's wife, Maureen O'Sullivan, was named Julie Dorn. Dorn was Faith Demurg's stage name after she signed a contract with Warner Brothers in 1941. She changed it back to her original name after Howard Hughes bought her contract from Jack Warner. Now, as I mentioned at the top of the show, Faith Demurg had been ushered into Howard's harem while still a teenager, 15 years old to be exact. People today talk about grooming like it's a new phenomenon. Hughes spent most of his adult life grooming young women for stardom. Demurg was supposed to be the sultry sex bomb successor to his most famous protege, Jane Russell. But all she did was languish in Hughes's plush and peculiar form of captivity. Even though Demurg married band-leading philanderer Teddy Stouffer, Hughes still acted like he owned her. He spent 4 years fashioning the film Vendetta as a star-making vehicle for Demurg, but in the middle of the endless production, she dumped Stauffer and fled to Buenos Aires with Argentine director Ugo Fregonese, whom she later married and had 2 children with. That finally doused Howard Hughes's interest. Vendetta, which burned through 4 different directors, Max Ophuls, Preston Sturges, Stuart Heisler, and Mel Ferrar, was finally released a month after Where Danger Lives to tepid reviews and meager box office. But Demurg enjoyed a revival a few years later, becoming one of the original Scream Queens in a trio of 1950s sci-fi horror cult classics, This Island Earth, It Came from Beneath the Sea, and The Cult of the Cobra. Her career lasted into the 1970s and included an autobiography titled My Life with Howard Hughes. I hope you enjoyed Where Danger Lives. If you want to see film noir on the big screen, just like folks saw it back in 1950, you've still got a week left to check out my Noir City Film Festival, now playing at the Egyptian Theater in Hollywood. Presented in collaboration with the American Cinematheque, this marks my 25th year hosting noir at this venerable movie palace. We're celebrating with an eclectic lineup featuring an assortment of international noirs alongside some glorious greatest hits, like next weekend's screening of the original Nightmare Alley in a 35mm nitrate print. Hope I see you there. Next week, I'll be back here at Bar 355 with one of the best noirs of the 1950s, Pushover from 1954. Marks the return of Fred MacMurray to film noir, as well as the big screen debut of one of Hollywood's biggest stars, Kim Novak. Until then, see you in the shadows.